Well, welcome out there once again to my program. Always a pleasure to be here. This is the panel show, and I'm sure you watched this a couple of times before. We've been on for a long time, and a lot of interesting issues to discuss. My panelists are people who really get involved with the issues in the city of Fall River and elsewhere. And most of the questions that are posed, brought out for discussion, they offer a full explanation and a very clear explanation. So, once again, I want to welcome Dan Robillard. I usually start with CJ. Dan, how you doing?
Good, Richard.
And don't forget, get your 2 cents in tonight. Don't be bashful.
No worries.
Stefani Koorey.
Hi,
How are you
Richard.
doing, Stephanie? We haven't seen you in a while.
I've been busy working.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Bob, how's everything going?
Good, Richard. Staying warm.
You came in with a bundle of clothes.
That's right. You got a layer.
It's a good fireman. You can take it off, but you can't put it on.
That's right.
CJ, what's going on?
Do you really want me to start now, or do you want to wait until you start asking the questions?
We're going to talk about an issue that came up this week once again. This is an issue that I think this is like a fallback issue. And when things are not going too good in the city of Fall River, when job creation is lacking, the school system is not all that good, crime rate, once again, always read about break-ins, muggings, robberies, and well, that's something that doesn't bode well for a lot of people in the city of Fall River. However, the fallback issue is gambling. That's always a good issue. And what is gambling all about? Gambling is basically you make a wager, and if you bet on a horse race, don't forget the track is got the odds always. If you head up to a casino and you put that money in the slot machine, the house is taking it right off the top. So, casinos, horse tracks, slot parlors, you name it, whatever gambling takes place, the owners, the investors are taking it right off the top, and the people get what's left over, if there's anything left over after expenses. So, the fallback issue this week, once again, is a casino for Fall River this time. Well, that was what it was last time, Stephanie.
Yep.
A casino for Fall River, but they jumped out there too far ahead and nothing much happened. What do you think is going to happen this time around?
Well, I think that this is an ill-formed idea. They don't even have a location. They don't even have anything on a date for a referendum. And there are other entities locally in Taunton, New Bedford, that are already interested and already are eager to have a casino in that location. The Mashpee, of course, expect one in Taunton. They're just waiting on the landed trust issue. And New Bedford's got a site picked out as well. So we're coming late to the table, as usual. But I'm not for this casino in any way, shape, or form. I'm part of a group called Citizens for the Common Good. We fought it the last time. We have a large number of people in our organization. We have local religious leaders, business owners, environmentalists, activists, preservationists, arts groups, general, regular, everyday people.
Wow, you've covered
Yep.
you've covered the spectrum in the city of Fall River.
Yep.
CJ, gambling, casino, no location yet, plans not afoot. What do you think? Make of the? Is this just something to wipe off all the other?
Don't
things?
bet on Will.
Okay.
I notice you don't have any politicians as part of your group over there.
Well, they're all hedging their bets. They're all like, well, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I believe it, because at the city council meeting last night, you know, they were all off topic. Our city council has no idea on how you
Were they
rule.
surprised about the casino issue?
No.
So
They were at the press conference. But what I think is funny is there are 4 licenses in the Commonwealth, geographically situated.
4 licenses available.
4 licenses. So you can't get the license from the Boston area in Fall River or in the South Coast.
Now they have geographic areas.
Yes.
So one license
Regional.
per,
The
Yeah,
region.
region, yeah, that's.
those regional areas,
Right.
one license
Right.
per.
So there's only gonna be one in southeastern Massachusetts.
Right.
And Foxwood tried to go into Milford. And they wined and dined, spent a lot of money, but Milford voted it out. Because they looked at the effects of the casino in their community, but they also looked at Foxwoods, because Foxwoods was the company that was coming in. Foxwoods has a 6-year losing track record financially.
In other
They're
words,
not in
each
any,
year,
6 years for the last
the
6 years
revenue
they've
is
been.
declined?
Yeah, well, casinos are economically driven industries. When people are, when the economy is going fantastically, casinos make a lot of money.
Discretionary spending?
Absolutely.
CJ, I think you brought that up, decline in
Right,
revenue
they've been
intake.
showing, they've been showing a decline in revenue sources for the state of Connecticut. The really funny part about all of this, though, is that it's not even Foxwoods really that's coming here. It's a private organization based out of Colorado. Crossroads, Massachusetts, or Commonwealth Crossroads LLC. They're based out of Colorado. They're incorporated in Delaware, and they have only a resident business agent in Massachusetts, all of which is legal, and a lot of companies do that because they don't have to pay income tax in Delaware. But they're leasing the name or franchising the name of Foxwoods.
All right, so it's a.
And that's
so-
why this is called a commercial license they need. Because if it was an Indian license, Foxwoods would be running it. It would be run by the Mashantucket Pequots. But it's not. It's being run by a private corporation. And the funny part about it is the city's dependent upon this because they need those host fees that they won't get if this is located in Taunton or New Bedford. They need those host fees to make their budget because all they know how to do is spend and bond.
But they haven't even
Bob-
talked about what that is.
I know.
Bob,
Well-
you've been around the circuit a number of times. High-stakes gambling at the airport, they closed the airport for some reason. That was a disaster.
Well, we've got to realize, number one, it's also a semi-diversionary tactic for the fact that they've raised they're looking at raising the sewer fees 115%, but also casino gambling, you have to put it in perspective. All casino gambling throughout the country is seeing less revenue because there are more casinos. And obviously, it's splitting the discretionary cash that is available.
Only so much
Do I
dis-
believe that casino gambling is better than having people getting their paycheck and going down to the local store and buying scratch tickets? Yeah, because at least a casino pays a lot more taxes and creates jobs. However, you gotta have to be realistic. Number one, Fall River is way behind, and we're 10th in line. And the reality is, casino gambling is only as good as the people
You
who
say
run it.
10th in line? What do
If
you
you
mean
look
by-
at Atlantic City.
What do you mean by 10th in line?
Well, you've got the Indians in Taunton, and as Steffi said, you've got New Bedford, you've got the Cape.
right.
These people have all got people in place. But even if we had casino gambling, and as I said, I think it could bring more revenue. You look at Atlantic City. Atlantic City is the way it is. A lot of people don't realize why Atlantic City is the way it is. It's not because of the casino gambling. It brought in a lot of revenue. But a lot of people don't realize it's less than 3% of the total revenue since Atlantic City has been a casino destination has been reinvested in Atlantic City.
Dan, you've been waiting to get in this. You got some opinion, I know that.
You know, I think there's tons of issues, as everybody just said, with the licenses, with the location. But look at all that. If they were to get past it would be better than anything that's here right now than we've got. So for that reason, if it comes to a vote, I'd vote for it. Do I think it's coming? No, I don't, because I think the other issues are gonna outweigh it coming here. But assuming they could get past everything, it would be better here economically and job-wise than anything that exists right now currently.
Steph, you're
No.
wagging, you're saying no?
No.
That's not the case?
This 3,000 to 5,000 job number that they're floating is a completely fabricated number. That the kinds of jobs that are created by casinos are not the kind. They're low-skilled, minimum wage jobs for the most part. They also create more ill for a community than they give benefits.
Addictions?
Often casinos come in, they get all kinds of TIFs agreements to come in. They don't pay taxes in the cities and their host communities. So you've got that issue, and the city's famous for giving those away. The other thing is the addiction issue, the crime issue, the lowering of property values issues. This is a fact in the communities that have casinos. These are the issues they see. Not to even mention traffic. We're talking about a 24-hour-a-day business that serves alcohol. We're talking about an uptick of 150% of drunk driving fatalities in communities that have casinos in them. So we're talking about all kinds of social issues that Fall River is not at all in any position
Give me a
to
better,
deal with.
give me a better proposal.
Let's not get an
outside of the
anti-gambling. I
license.
gotta, look, let's not debate gambling. We're gonna have plenty of time to do that. The fact is, I have seen both sides. I've been at Atlantic City numerous times. Atlantic City is the way it is because there's poverty all around and a lot of money, and of course, the people are gonna try to do this. I've also seen casino gambling have a very positive effect. If you go to
Where?
Davenport, Iowa, the Quad Cities, my son went to chiropractic school there, and you can go down to where the casino is. That place was an absolute disaster, and now there are restaurants. There are, and it really had a positive effect on the community. The fact is that I'm not going to
Did it
debate
bring the-
casino
did
gambling.
it bring
The
the-
bottom line is everybody has it's a very emotional issue. I'm not going to debate it. The fact is, my position is real simple. Low-skilled jobs, who will we have in Fall River? Low-skilled people. I mean, actually, the casino is the perfect thing to bring in, because that's the kind of workforce we have here. We're not trying to attract people to split the atom. The fact is that this is the kind of people we're trying to get to work, because this is what we have to begin with. It's a first step. And as I told another person, I would much rather see somebody, you say there's an addiction. Well, yeah, casinos also fund, programs for that. But the fact is, there's nothing right now. Why don't all these advocates of anti-casino people get all the scratch tickets and all the lottery tickets out of the stores? Because the fact is that you get somebody to go down a corner store and spend their whole paycheck, and we get nothing for it. So at least if
The
we get
state
something out of a
certainly does get
casino,
something for it.
well, the state does, but we don't get
We
crap.
get-
We don't get
oh,
it. We
no,
get a
no.
disproportionate. We spend more money on scratch tickets, Steffi. New Bedford and Fall River spend more than any other part of the state.
And that should tell you right there that we have a gambling addiction issue
Well,
in the
the
city
fact
of
is,
Fall
if you're
River.
going to spend money on gambling, at least let's get a lot more back. And we don't get that much from the
move to
state.
another concern, I would say, of people who own restaurants, that they're saying going to have 34, 35 restaurants in this facility.
It's not going to be that big.
If you own a restaurant, well, that's what the paper quoted. If you have a restaurant, CJ, do you want something like that next door? Because usually casinos want people to come in. Their food is fairly cheap. Buffets are fantastic, but of course they want you to gamble. Hurts the restaurant business.
The casino's job, and the companies that own these casinos, is not to have you step outside of those doors and go across the street or down the block or a mile away to a restaurant.
So forget that Sharice sandwich across the
That's
street.
right. Their job is to keep you in that casino.
Don't eat any chow mein
inside
on your
that
way
property.
down.
Exactly.
No clocks either.
Right.
But the 34 restaurants is a stretch. I've been to Las Vegas. There's not the biggest casinos in Las Vegas don't have 34
That's what
restaurants.
the Herald News said today.
Unless you count
the
a food
article
court,
over there.
which some of them have small food courts.
Right.
But there's not a restaurant. I don't know how they are in Macau, but there's not a restaurant in the United States, because I've been to virtually every major casino in the United States. There's not one of them there with 34 restaurants, so that's ridiculous.
Well, that tells me a lot that you've been to a lot of casinos, so that tells me a lot.
Dan, does
Well,
it
it
hurt
does.
the local business? A famous personage who came to this studio on a regular basis, Gus Sunnison. He once said that a gambling casino is a giant vacuum cleaner.
That's right.
It just sucks the money out of the community.
Yep.
Gus told this to the people over and over and over again. It puts very little into the community. It's there to suck it out.
Well-
The investors get it, and others who don't really put it back into the community.
There's a lot of hurdles that are gonna be cleared. At the end of the day, I don't think it's coming, but it's gonna come to a vote before it does come, so You know, that's how democracy works.
Does
But-
it take from the community?
Yes,
Yes.
casinos are the only industry in the world where they
Why do they
win
call
if
it
you
an
lose.
industry?
Because
Gotta get to that issue.
it's called an industry.
They
But
also give
if,
back.
If they lose, if you lose, they win. There's no other
They want you to
company-
lose.
They want you to lose because
That's-
that's how they make money.
that's their motive,
That's
right?
their motive.
You
They
gotta
make
lose.
sure you lose. You cannot
They
win.
do everything possible to have you lose. Is that
Yes.
Odds are always with the house.
Absolutely.
Odds are always with the house.
So they're not building aircraft engines.
Nope.
They're not building automobiles.
Nope.
They're not building
They're not
transmissions.
educating people.
They're not building
They're
boats.
not training people.
It's the
You don't need
entertainment
to,
industry.
you don't need a skill. You don't have to graduate from Diamond with a.
Yeah, let's teach our
good-
kids that you don't, you can go do that instead.
Why not?
you know?
Yeah, no, let's
You
teach
can
our
go
kids,
do
let's
that
teach our kids to
instead.
go down to the corner store and spend it on scratch tickets.
I-
Because because at least the casino does create some jobs, a lot of jobs, and if you fashion it correctly, it does give you host fees and pay a lot of money into the community, which corner stores don't. And that's the thing that really gets me about the anti-gambling people, because the fact is, I haven't seen a movement in Massachusetts to get rid of the lottery and the scratch tickets on the corner. And I see people at the corner store spending half of their paycheck the day they get it on a scratch ticket. And what does that give back to the community? Absolutely nothing.
Well, let's-
And that's a fact.
Wait, all of that
let's-
money comes into the communities from the scratch tickets. It's not proportional, but it absolutely does.
It does not come into the community anywhere near
Heavily
proportionally.
disproportional.
Heavily
Let's talk about.
I don't like standing in line behind those people getting scratch tickets either when all I want is a gallon of milk.
Well, okay, I'm
You're
gonna
gonna have
just,
separate
I'm
lines
gonna
then.
pose
Lobby.
a question here, and it's gonna be just a continuance of what you're talking about. And that
Shut
is,
this off.
you have, you talk about the scratch tickets and Keno and that stuff. That's state-run. We know.
Exactly.
That's state-run.
That's exactly.
But when you have a casino that wants to come in, that's a private enterprise.
Yep.
So, look, we know, people spend a lot of money on scratch tickets, et cetera. It goes into the state, and it helps to run the state. Whether you like gambling or not, that's what's taking place.
It also helps the second biggest patronage in the state behind the MBTA is the Lottery Commission.
And
And
then-
we all know that.
And then you have
You
the
can't get a
private
job.
side, which is just people who are investing in a huge corporation, maybe directors, of course, directors if it's a corporation, investors, and they take that money, and they can take that money anywhere they want. You can be in Bangladesh,
Malaysia.
Malaysia. We had
Mash
people who are trying to come in from Malaysia. Now, they're not going to spend much here in the city of Fall River. What about that issue, CJ?
Well, and that's what you're dealing with, but that's with any company. I mean, you can get a company who opens up here in the industrial park, that's manufacturing something, and they could be from Great Britain or from Malaysia or from Taiwan. If they're from Taiwan, they probably have the work done over there, but the reality is whoever owns the company can take that money wherever they want. They don't have to reinvest it in your community. And this is the thing that people don't understand when they're doing business. They think, well, you're doing business here in my community, so you've got to give back to my community. And I remember during the election season when the mayor and Rob Mellion, the powers that be on high from the Chamber of Commerce, turned around and said, look at what they did to Mr. Matuk, who's investing in this community. How is he investing in this community? He's making $95 towers that no one in Fall River can afford,
And Richard, no
Yes.
matter what the issue is, there's always gonna be groups that are NIMBY focused.
Exactly.
Not in my backyard. There's a NIMBY group for every proposal that comes across any mayor's desk in the history of this city.
I would
When
like-
do you bring something in? When do we land something here that changes the city?
I would like to say one little
Okay.
thing. Citizens for the Common Good is not a NIMBY group. We have been partnering with state anti-gaming groups since. So we are not just about Fall River.
But
Secondly,
in general,
we
don't
are
think
not.
he meant
No,
that
but it
directly at you,
well, no,
necessarily.
I'm just saying that just to clear the air, we are not. The other thing is, there's nothing wrong with being anti-casino.
No,
And
I'm not saying there
Oh,
is.
well, you're trying to say, oh, you think that, so I don't really want to listen to you because I want to talk about this.
No.
And I'm saying that all of this is a part of the same issue, and that social issues are a part of economic issues just as much as people who are anti-casino or anti-gaming or raising the unemployment. I mean, the things that you're talking about seems to be trying to relegate anybody who's anti-gaming into some kind of
No, I'm just
off to
making
the
a point
side.
that if you're anti-gaming, there is another position. The fact is that gives more than companies that take your money. When you see the Chamber of Commerce in front of the city council fighting against the minimum wage,
Yes.
because it's going to destroy businesses
Which is
in Fall River.
ridiculous, which is
When
ridiculous.
the fact is that if you raise the minimum wage,
Yes.
that will stimulate our economy.
Exactly.
Because poor people spend money in Fall River. You give
Exactly.
Matuk the money, he reinvests it and takes it home. How many businessmen in Fall River live in Fall River?
Exactly. How
So
many-
the fact
exactly.
is, a casino's doing basically what everybody else does. That's why.
But
that's
no,
why these,
no other
that's why these
business,
factories.
no other business has
Well,
this social ill compound that goes with
Well,
it.
no, I think a lot of businesses have social ills. What happened to the social ills when they said that the textile factories left Fall River because of unions? Because
No, they
unions wanted to
didn't
make too much. Well, they said that.
Who's
and that was the
they?
reason.
Well,
Well,
let's-
everybody
But
did.
they didn't go for that
But they
reason.
did.
Let-
But that's what they said they did.
Let's move to.
And then,
let's
now
go
they're
up
in
to-
Bangladesh. They're not in North Carolina
Let's go up the
anymore.
road to Taunton, and the mayor of Taunton said that something to the effect that his town, East, I believe it's East Taunton, they're still in the process of trying to get the Indian tribe to locate there. That they're
Land
The
and
state's
trust.
already given them the okay for
Yeah,
that.
but the land and trust
If it-
isn't gonna
If it gets
happen.
in trust.
It's not
But
gonna
that's the case.
happen.
They're just waiting on the approval or the decline
It takes
from
5
the
years.
But
BIA. And if the
bottom line
BIA, which is
this
the Board
thing's
of
not gonna
Indian
go- There's
Affairs,
going to be lawsuits for 5 years, no matter what happens.
Go ahead.
if the Board of Indian Affairs turns the tribe down for taking the land into trust, then the Gaming Commission has to decide whether that license is going to remain a tribal license, or are they going to allow commercial companies to bid for that license.
Well, would that issue have to be settled first before the
Right,
Fall
the-
Rivers proposal?
Exactly. The BIA issue has to be settled before anything else can happen.
So this 30-day business, still
He's
the
nuts.
building is going to be up there, and we're going to be able to go down there, lay a few bucks on the
he's-
roulette wheel and take a bag full of money home?
Look, this is,
I think he's been-
this
I
is
think
3 to
he's
5 years away, Richard.
been looking at the backs.
There's
That-
issues
that
with the
salt's too much.
licenses, there's issues with site, there's a lot of issues here. All I'm saying is, if they cleared the hurdles, there'd be more in the city job-wise than exists right now. Show me a business that exists right now that could match what a casino would be if you had the lowest numbers of jobs come out of it. Show it to me right now. We don't have it.
You don't have to
Why?
have a.
Because Ken Fiola in the Office of Economic Disaster is just that, a human disaster.
But the bottom line is, Richard, look, no matter what happens, this promise of the casinos going up it's absurd. There's going to be lawsuits. If that license isn't granted in Taunton, you're going to have Indian tribes suing. You're going to have private groups suing. This thing's going to be tied up in court unless it goes through in Taunton and they get their authorization. This is going to be tied up for probably a decade.
So is this, like Bob just mentioned, a diversionary issue?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Diverting from what?
Yesterday's city council meeting, they talked about this $13 million in bonding they're doing for flood remediation, okay? And they presented a budget, a proposed budget over the next several years to pay for this bond. Because everyone's upset now that they voted for a 10 million bond, which, by the way, we told you on the air that your fees were gonna go up for this.
And I'm pretty sure all of us opposed it.
And we
Yeah.
all did oppose it,
Voted
and
against it.
they said it's
Is
gonna
that
go
going to
up.
have to go before the voters?
It
Already did.
It already did.
It was on the last
And they
ballot.
voted for
Now
it.
the mayor says he's not in favor of it.
But the ballot question said, if you don't vote for this, Fall River's in big trouble.
Right.
It's going
It
to
was
blow up.
worded in such a way that It was
Have
bad.
water up to your knees during
Yeah.
the-
Right, but here's what,
the
You
drizzle?
swimming.
but here's what
We're
Terry
in Fall
Sullivan
River
did
to a
yesterday.
giant underwater casino.
The rates are gonna quintuple
That's a
over
good
the
idea.
next few years.
Right. They proposed that the rainwater tax, remember the illegal rainwater tax that Mayor Flanagan proposed, that said was illegal? We're going to increase that to $75 over the next couple of years.
It's gonna quintuple.
It's,
from
you know, I mean, 115%. Where are they getting this?
And
he
who
says
can
for
afford it?
every dollar that they get on that rainwater tax generates $100,000. Now, I have a problem with this because my math is a little weird, but there's 22,000 billing people in Fall River, 22,000 bills, and approximately 2,000 are commercial. So if every dollar on that bill generates $100,000 in total, how does 20,000 bills generate $100,000 total?
Because it's quarterly.
CJ, beyond that,
'Cause it's quarterly?
Look at the
But that still
numbers.
wouldn't do it.
That's almost,
It's
almost
80,000.
100,000.
Let me, okay,
Look at the numbers on the tax revenue that's delinquent and all the other
I know.
statistics that came out last night. This city is on the brink of financial ruin.
again,
And the question has to be asked, St. Anne's Hospital had a construction project that they screwed up that is causing an overflow in a main, and the city, rather than having St. Anne's pick up the tab, has a $3 million price tag to fix it, and the taxpayers are paying. Why isn't St. Anne's Hospital paying?
well, that's a good question, and because the health industry is supposedly in Fall River is very well and healthy at the same time.
And remember,
There's a lot of business,
and
there's a lot of
remember-
health and sickness.
And remember, Stewart Healthcare just announced that they made what, 8.4 or 9.4 million dollar impacts in Fall River?
Any discussion last night at the city council meeting in regards to the money that was supposed to be spent on handicapped bathroom stand? And it went upstairs on the 6th floor for fancy doorways?
Nothing about the bathrooms or the treasurer's office.
Is that going to be a forgotten issue, discussion?
Frankly, I think with the makeup of this council, you're gonna have a segment of the council that's gonna give the mayor whatever he wants on the finance side, and a segment of the council that's gonna hold steadfast against bonding and loan orders. I
Well-
still think at the end of the day, as I said, when the election was over, that the mayor will get most of his agenda passed.
Right. He's got a 5-4 split, and we can see that already. And I mean, you see it based upon what's happening. But it's, it's very interesting to see because Terry Sullivan, Kathy Viveris,
Make this kind of quick. 'cause
they were all there, and they were asked over and over again for stuff they were asked for at the last meeting.
And they didn't-
And they didn't have it.
They didn't
And they said,
produce
I'll
it.
have it for you at the next meeting. I don't have, you were supposed to have it at this meeting.
It's called short-term memory problems.
Yeah, it's
So,
shuffle it down the road.
Selective amnesia.
Really?
Yeah.
So is the administration back to the same old
Yep.
Yep.
lack of
Yep.
getting the job done?
So much so that they're hearkening back to casino gaming
Yeah.
again as some
The
kind of
biannual.
Dan,
quick fix for
what's
the
coming
city.
up? Anything you want to talk about? We're getting down at the end of the program.
No.
You're playing Sheeny tonight. Steph?
You can take a look at our Facebook page. It's called Against a Casino in Fall River, or Citizens for the Common Good, and we're out there trying to educate.
Okay, that's good. Everyone needs education.
Yes.
Bob?
Don't bet on Will, and remember, pay attention to what's going on with your tax dollars, and forget about this casino right now, because the reality is it's a diversionary tactic.
And when it came to the water and sewer, Terry Sullivan told the water board in August that the water rates were going up. So this is not new.
CJ, what's coming up?
It's lies, lies, and more lies. Terry Sullivan even said yesterday at the city council meeting, when asked if we don't go forward with this loan order, are we still going to get the fees raised? And he said, yes, we are.
There you go.
So your taxes are going up.
You heard it right from my
Which is-
panel.
Since August.
And they know the inside scoop of most of the issues in the city of Fall River. They educate me all the time. Doesn't do much good because I have to keep asking questions next time they come here. Well, anyway, don't forget, May 17th this year, we're going to have the Friends of Cook Pond dinner dance at the Post on Shove Street. Once again, the tickets are only $15. Get a nice chicken dinner with the works, coffee, cake, a nice salad, and dancing thereafter. So keep that in mind. for Friends of Cook Pond, which is doing very, very well, and the program will be coming up shortly on Channel 95, a film of Cook Pond. So thank you, panelists, and see you in 3 weeks, right?
3 weeks.
Yeah.